Jai.
Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Gaur Prem Anande.
Hari Hari Bol.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glory to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Shami Iti Namane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirbhishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Krishna, we are reading, studying, discussing Sri Caitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, chapter 17, the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya in his youth. And do we have the text number?
Should be 74.
I thought it was 73. Anyway, yeah, okay. Hare Krishna.
73 or 74?
73, yeah, 73. Okay, yeah. Mother Sutapa, would you chant?
Yes, Prabhu. নামে স্তুতি বাদ শুনে প্রভুর হইল দুঃখ, সবারে নিষে দিল ইহার না দেখিও মুখ।
When a student interpreted the glories of the holy name as a prayer of exaggeration, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, greatly unhappy, immediately warned everyone not to see the student's face henceforward. Once when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained the glories of the transcendental potency of the Lord's holy name, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, one unfortunate student said that such glorification of the holy name was an exaggeration in the Shastras to induce people to take to it. In this way, the student interpreted the holy name, the glories of the holy name. This is called Arthavad, and it is one of the 10 offenses at the lotus feet of the holy name of the Lord. There are many kinds of offenses, but the offense known as Nam Aparada is an offense at the lotus feet of the holy name is extremely dangerous. The Lord therefore warned everyone not to see the face of the offender. The Lord immediately took a bath in the Ganges with all his clothes on to teach everyone to avoid such a Nam Aparad. The holy name is identical with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is no difference between the person God and his holy name. This is the absolute position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, one of the distinguishes between the Lord and his name is called a Pashandi, or non-believer, or atheistic demon. Glorification of the holy name is glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should never attempt to distinguish between the Lord and his name or interpret the glories of the holy name as mere exaggerations. Om Gyanati Vedandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurim Meditam Jaina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Jaina Bhutale Shayam Rupa Kadamaikam Dadati Shapandantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shadvaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We may have done this verse already, but I just a couple other comments to talk about this one. So Before speaking, I'd like to ask for permission and blessings from these devotees, and especially those who are senior by age or by advancement in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna, please. Thank you. You both. So the tendency to say that the glories of the holy name, who is the same as identical with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is an exaggeration, is just a way to minimize the glories of the holy name. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So our sojourn in the material world, the basis of that is icha dvesh, desire and hate or enviousness. Usually we in the material world have the tendency, if someone has a better quality than we have, that we want to minimize that or put it down. And that originates with our desire to minimize or discount the glories of Krishna and his holy name. So we have to be very careful. Just because we as neophyte devotees are not aware of the glories of Lord Krishna and his holy name, doesn't mean he doesn't have those glories. Actually, the humble position, as Lord Chaitanya recommended, would be to understand, Lord Chaitanya's and Lord Krishna's holy name is wonderful, but unfortunately, because I have I'm still in an offensive position, I still have this offensive mentality, I can't appreciate it. That's why Lord Chaitanya, in his second Shikshastika verse, how does that go? Nam nama kari bahuda nija sarva shaktis tatrarpita niyamata smaranena kala etadrishi tava kripa bhagavan mamapi durdaiva midrisami hajani nanaraga. Oh my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction upon the living beings. And therefore you have hundreds and millions of names, just like Krishna and Govinda, etc. In these holy names, you've invested all of your transcendental potencies. And they're not even hard or fast rules for chanting your holy name. Oh my Lord, you have so kindly made approach to you easy by your holy names, but unfortunate as I am, I have no attraction for them. Because unfortunate as we are, that does just because our attraction, our ability to understand and appreciate the holy name of the Lord is stunted, doesn't mean that the holy name, the glories of the holy name are any less, just because we may not be able to appreciate them. So to try to materialize or make an interpretation or diminish the glories of the holy name because of our own infirmity, that's one of those major offenses in the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. And Lord Chaitanya, as the avatar who is specially coming to propagate the glories and the importance of chanting the holy name, was especially concerned when he came in touch with this student who was interpreting and minimizing the glories of that holy name. So the verse that we often quote to cite the nature of the holy name as being the same as the Supreme Lord is, you know that verse? How does it go? Nama Chintamani Krishnash Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purno Shuddho Nitya Mukto Abhinatvam Nama Namino. Nama Chintamani Krishnas. This holy name is Chintamani. It's Purno, it's as full, Shuddho, pure, Nitya Mukto is eternally liberated. Abhinatvam Nama Nami, as Lord Krishna himself. It's not different. The holy name, he is not different than Lord Krishna. So as one who might venture to try to parse the glories of the holy name, we're warned here in this pastime with Lord Caitanya and this wayward student. It's a good thing to think about. Comments, questions, observations? No, next verse then.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Oh, okay. Hare Krishna Prana, not Prabhu.
So this is to give some interpretation on the holy name, or to consider it some imagination? Which of these offenses this becomes?
Well, this is an exaggeration. Yeah, this is exaggeration.
So in the 10 offenses, this means to give some interpretation?
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
No. Oh, yeah.
Text 74. সগণে সচলে গিয়া কইল গঙ্গা স্নান ভক্তির মহিমা তাহে করিল ব্যাখ্যান.
Without even removing his garments, Lord Chaitanya took a bath in the Ganges with his companions. There, he explained the glories of devotional service. It sounds like he was explaining the glories while he was in the Ganges. Yeah.
জ্ঞান কর্ম যোগ ধর্মে নহে কৃষ্ণ বশ হেতু এক প্রেম ভক্তি রস.
By following the path of speculative philosophical knowledge, fruitive activity, or mystic yoga to control the senses, one cannot satisfy Krishna, the Supreme Lord. Unalloyed devotional love for Krishna is the only cause for the Lord's satisfaction. This we see in Nectar Devotion, also the same point being made, and also Bhagavad Gita. Bhaktya tvananaya shakya aham evam vedojana. Text 76.
সংস্কৃত প্রভু.
Nasarayati mam yogo nasankyam dharma uddhava nasvadhyayastapastyago yatha bhaktir mamurjita. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna said, my dear Uddhava, neither through Ashtanga Yoga, the mystic yoga system to control the senses, nor through impersonal monism or an analytical study of the absolute truth, nor through the study of the Vedas, nor through austerities, charity, or acceptance of sannyas can one satisfy me as much as by developing unalloyed devotional service unto me. Purport. Karmis, Gyanis, Yogis, Tapasvis, and students of the Vedic literature who do not have Krishna consciousness simply beat around the bush and do not get any final profit because they have no clear knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nor do they have faith in approaching him by discharging devotional service, although everywhere such service is repeatedly emphasized. As in this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 14th chapter, 20th verse, the Bhagavad Gita, 1855, also declares, Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavanyashchasmi tattvata. One can understand the Supreme Personality as he is only by devotional service. If one wants to understand the Supreme Personality factually, he must take to the path of devotional service and not waste time in profitless philosophical speculation, fruitive activities, mystic yoga practice, or severe austerity and penance. Elsewhere in the Bhagavad Gita 12.5, the Lord confirms, Klesho adhikataras tesham avyaktasakta chetasam. For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. People who are attached to the impersonal feature of the Lord are obliged to take great trouble. Yet, nevertheless, they cannot understand the absolute truth. As explained in Srimad Bhagavatam 1-11, Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavaniti Shabdyate. Unless one understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the original source of both Brahman and Paramatma, one is still in darkness about the absolute truth. Comments, questions, observations, very straightforward. Next verse.
I can I have a comment here.
Oh, yeah, sure. I didn't see. Is that Krishna Kirtan Prabhu?
Yeah. So it's a nice statement for a devotee. So even though we are bhaktas, we don't deny. It's very important to realize the Brahman aspect and Paramatma aspect also. Isn't it right?
Yes, they're all aspects of the absolute truth. Yes.
So sometimes the devotees cannot say, "Oh, I'm just Bhagavan realized is not just Bhagavan realization is not possible to understand, is incomplete without the aspect of impersonal Brahman and Paramatma."
Actually, with Bhagavan realization, you must have the other two. Because Bhagavan realization is complete. If you have $10, you have $5, $3, $2, $1. If you have $1,000, so if someone is actually a devotee is actually understanding Bhagavan, then of course he understands the other two. That's my understanding. What do you say?
Yeah, it's supposed to be, but because we are bhaktas, we are directly in the path of devotional service. While worshipping the Bhagavan aspect, impersonal, we know that in the impersonal Brahman is emanating from the Lord. That understanding also important. So what will happen if you scroll down at the bottom section? It says that unless one understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the original source of both Brahman and Paramatma, one is still in darkness about the absolute truth. So many times we see devotees show that they have a lot of realization, love, and affection for the Lord, but one may fail to understand the Brahman aspect and Paramatma aspect. You're getting, those who do not study, they may not have ability to understand, or they're not hearing. They're worshiping.
Yeah, I would still say what I said before, that the actual realization of, we can have some understanding, but actual realization includes those two. So, like Srila Prabhupada, we take as our Acharya. Prabhupada did not discount or avoid understanding of Sarvatma, the Lord in everybody's heart, or he would sometimes be associated with Brahmavadis, not Mayavadis, who would decry the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but Brahmavadis, and he respected them, but ultimately he encouraged them to take a step further. So I don't know if that's something the comment the angle you're thinking about. Someone who appreciates the Brahman aspect of the Supreme Lord, but is not an offender by decrying the personality of Godhead with his variegated features. We can appreciate that also. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we see that also in Srila Prabhupada's activities. There was a yogi named Sachidananda. You know, Swami Sachidananda. I think his following was integral yoga.
Hmm.
And he was pretty much an impersonalist, a Brahmavadi. He actually came to Srila Prabhupada to visit when he was in New York in 1976. And he also used to come to our restaurant, or he would send his disciples to come to our restaurant, and he would especially come and get the samosas from the restaurant as prasadam. But anyway, Srila Prabhupada commented he was a sincere Brahmavadi because he didn't decry the personality of Godhead. And so they had a favorable relationship, and some of
Right.
his students became devotees also.
Hmm.
One famous devotee follower of his was named Kapindra. Whereas who as a follower of Sachidananda had changed his name from whatever his regular given name was to naturally ignorant.
Hmm.
Naturally ignorant. He changed his name from whatever it was to naturally ignorant legally. So when he joined the temple, he was bhakta naturally. But then we read, and I don't have I have that's some personal experience I have, but we read in the Lilamrita, Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, Srila Prabhupada's interactions with Dr. Mishra, Ramamurti Mishra, because he was actually a Mayavadi. He would speak against the personality of Godhead, and Srila Prabhupada was very strong against that, and he changed him to a certain extent to appreciate the personality of Godhead. So Srila Prabhupada was much stronger in dealing with him than with this Swami Satchidananda.
Hmm. Yeah. So it needs a very, for us also, it needs a lot of skills or expertise to how to deal in different circumstances.
True,
Mm.
yeah. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Yeah, sure.
Text 77.
মুরারিকে কহে তুমি কৃষ্ণ বশ কইলা, শুনিয়া মুরারি শ্লোক কহিতে লাগিলা।
Lord Chaitanya then praised Murari Gupta, saying, "You have satisfied Lord Krishna." Hearing this, Murari Gupta quoted a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. This is Sanskrit.
Yes,
Kvaham daridra papiyan kva Krishna Sriniketana Brahmabandhu iti smaham bahubhyam parirambhita. Translation. Since I am but a poor, sinful Brahmabandhu, not Brahmanically qualified, although born in a Brahmin family, and you, Lord Krishna, are the shelter of the goddess of fortune, it is simply wonderful, my dear Lord Krishna, that you have embraced me with your arms. So that you can take a look at that verse in Sanskrit. It's quite nice. Kvaham, who am I? Daridra, very poor. Papiyan, sinful. Kva, whereas? Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sriniketana, the shelter of the goddess of fortune. Brahmabandhu, I'm just the unqualified friend of a Brahmin. Iti smaham, I am. Bahubhyam, by your arms. Parirambita, have embraced me. Yeah. Oh. Purport. This is a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 81st chapter, 16th verse, spoken by Sudama Vipra in the presence of Lord Sri Krishna. This and the previous verse quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam clearly indicate that although Krishna is so great that it is not possible for anyone to satisfy him, he exhibits his greatness by being personally satisfied even with one who is unqualified from so many angles of vision. Sudama Vipra was born in a family of Brahmins, and he was a learned scholar and a class friend of Krishna. Yet, he considered himself to be unfit to be strictly called a Brahmin. He called himself a Brahmabandhu, meaning one born in a Brahmin family but not Brahmanically qualified. Because of his great respect for Brahmanas, however, Krishna embraced Sudama Vipra, although he was not a regular Brahmin but a Brahma Bandhu or friend of a Brahmin family. Mararigupta could not be called even a Brahma Bandhu because he was born of a Vaidya family, and according to the social structure, was therefore considered a Shudra. But Krishna bestowed special mercy upon Mararigupta because he was a beloved devotee of the Lord. As stated by Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, the purport of Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's elaborate discussion of this subject is that no qualification in this material world can satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yet everything becomes successful simply through development of devotional service to the Lord. The members of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness cannot even call themselves Brahma Bandhus. Therefore, our only means of satisfying Krishna is to pursue the injunctions of Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, who says, Jare dekha tare kaha Krishna upadesh, amar agyay guru hana tar edesh. Whomever you meet, instruct him on the teachings of Krishna. In this way, on my order, become a spiritual master and deliver the people of this country. Caitanya Caritamrita Madhya Lila, 7th chapter, 128th verse. Simply by trying to follow the orders of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, we speak to the people of the world about Bhagavad Gita as it is. This will make us qualified to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Kwaham daridra papiyan kwa Krishna Sriniketana Brahma Bandhu iti smaham bahubhyam parirambita. So I was thinking about this. So Sudama, he's got the word at the end of his, they usually call Sudama what?
Vipra.
Vipra, yeah. Vipra means usually
Vishnu.
Brahmin. Yeah, Brahmin. So even though he's identified in his name even as a Brahmin, he's calling himself a Brahma Bandhu. Brahma Bandhu iti smaham. I'm an unqualified friend of a, or born in a Brahmin family, but not qualified. So what do you think causes him to say that he's a Brahma Bandhu, even though he could say, hey, I'm Sudama Vipra, I'm a Brahmin, but he says Brahma Bandhu? Why do you think that is?
Natural humility.
What's that?
It's
Humility.
natural humility.
Okay, even though he's a Brahmin, actually he's a qualified Brahmin, but because of his humility, his naturally humility developed from his learning and go ahead.
Because of a Vaishnava, always thinks he's inferior. That's what I think. Vaishnava thinks, I'm not qualified.
Okay. Yes. So, as we often hear from our beloved Godbrother Balabhadra Prabhu, he always says in the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna lists the qualities or the symptoms of knowledge. And what's the first two? Amanitvam adambitvam. Not wanting to get praise from others and humility. That's it. Those are the first symptoms of knowledge. So even though it's almost like a catch-22, somebody's putting themselves forward as qualified, as wonderful, that means they're not wonderful, right? They're not qualified. And somebody who's not claiming qualification, that means, oh, that's one symptom of qualification. So Sudama, he was presenting as not qualified Brahma Bandhu, even though he was the most qualified. How can you get the association of Krishna? And what did what did Lord Krishna do when Sudama Vipra arrived in Dwaraka and he got his audience? What did Lord Krishna do, if you remember?
Wash his feet.
Yeah, he washed his feet and then offered him some refreshments, and Rukmini Devi was fanning him with a yak tail fan, chamara. Yeah. So this was very interesting. But because of his devotion, his elevated quality of devotional service, he was getting that respect and appreciation from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Well, this is Lord Caitanya is continuing to speak, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, about the glories of some person who sincerely engaged in his service. He becomes purchased and highly appreciative of that, regardless of their background. Mam hi partha vyapashritya tepi shu papa yonia striyo vaishyas tatashudras tepi yanti param gatim. Doesn't matter background. Doesn't matter background. By taking shelter of Krishna fully, actually, sincerely, really, one can achieve the supreme destination, which is Krishna's lotus feet. Jai bhaje, that's in Bengali. Lord Chaitanya said, Jai bhaje. You know this one? Jai bhaje sheboro. Those who worship Krishna, they're great. Sheboro. Abhakta hin cha. Those who are non-devotees are low. Abhakta hin cha. Krishna bhajana nahi jati kuladi bichar. Someone who's worshiping of Krishna, the devotee of Krishna, seriously, we don't consider jati, kuladi, the family, their birth, their caste, these things. So one could say, does that apply to men and women also? Should we consider, oh, this is a male Vaishnava or female Vaishnava, jati, kuladi, should we consider? I looked through the Veda base, and in one instance, Srila Prabhupada also translated that to be, your birth, your specific bodily features. Yes. Jai bhaje shebaro abhakti inchar Krishna bhajana nahi jati kuladi bichar. Other comments, questions, statements, observations. Krishna Kirtan Prabhu.
Yeah, thank you. It's a very nice point I was contemplating. So one can understand generally in Varnashrama system, one's elevation is based on one's guna and karma. Vaishya, Sudra, Vaishya, Kshatriya, and Brahmana.
Yeah.
But in devotional platform, a Brahmana, the one who is situated in Brahmanical activity, he can be elevated. At the same time, the one who is engaged in Sudra activity. But as long as, what is the statement you made? He is chanting the holy name. So how will we see in both? Like example, as someone is engaged in teaching, and someone is engaging in cleaning the temple or repairing, fixing, temples, buildings and plumbing. How will we see?
It depends on if they're getting paid or not.
Right. Though my question is, both of them are not paid.
Okay, then we see on the equal platform.
Yeah, because it is said that Brahma Bhuta Prasanatmana Sochitana Kankshati. So there's a perception that only when you have a Brahmin and those qualities, you have attained. But Arjuna was a Kshatriya. Arjuna was a Kshatriya. He had to have the passion in order to do that, right?
Yes.
So having passionate quality also, but because he's serving Krishna's purpose, still can we say he's attained the Brahmabhuta stage?
Yes.
Okay.
There's an impression, because especially in India, but not just in India, but also United States, people who are cleaners, you call them bhangis, you say that? Bhangi?
In Bengali, I think they call Bhangi. Yeah. Hari.
Yeah, so those people are considered the lower class. Why? Well, for many reasons. One is that they are, involved with dealing with dirty stuff and all. So sometimes the mentality gets translated into the temple that, somebody's cleaning the temple, they must be a low class person because they could just do cleaning. Well, but Srila Prabhupada emphasized that someone who's the pujari and somebody who's cleaning, they're on the same platform because they're doing the service for Krishna. So we have to be very careful. And then one symptom of a realized person is they're ready to do whatever the requirements are to serve Krishna. So if the requirement is that we get down on our knees and clean the temple, say no, that's beneath me. No, that's a symptom of material attachment. Yat karoshi yadashnashi yat johosi dadasi yat yatapasyasi kaunteya tat purusha madad param. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer, give away, as well as any austerity you perform, should be done as an offering to me. Krishna says that in the 9th chapter. So sometimes, and even Srila Prabhupada sometimes cites that verse as being an example of karma yoga. Karma yoga meaning, I have a particular occupation, a job, or a thing I like to do, a kind of activity I prefer to do. So I use that and I give the results to Krishna. That's could be considered karma yoga. Or it could be looked at another way. Sometimes you see these pictures where, you look at the face of a woman, they have it drawn in such a way, they look at it one way and it's an old lady, and you look at it a different way and it's a young lady. Have you ever seen those pictures? That's very interesting pictures. Yeah. Anyway, so you look at that verse another way though. So, so not just yat karoshi, whatever you do, of just you're an engineer, so try to use that for Krishna, or you're an architect, try to use that for, but everything you do, you're going to be cleaning, you're going to be whatever, everything you do for Krishna. So that's bhakti. Everything you do for Krishna. You sing, you clean, you do your work, everything. Then that's called bhakti. And
So,
that's go ahead.
So in that case, suppose one is a cleaner throughout his life until one is dying, still engaged in such kind of activities.
Yes.
Still, it is considered the highest bhakti then.
That is bhakti, yeah. When Srila Prabhupada was, the devotees were in going around Parikrama in Vrindavan. They were going by Radha Govinda temple, there. No, sorry, Madan Mohan temple, which is a little bit up on the hill in Vrindavan. So ladies, he would see ladies coming every day to bring water in their water pots on their head like this. And he commented because he knew they are the same ladies he had seen previously. They were doing it every day. He said they're going back to Godhead. That is because their regular service like that to Lord Krishna. They weren't getting paid to bring the water on their heads, but they were doing it as service to the Madan Mohan, the new Madan Mohan deity, like that. Very elevated. Yes. Any other comments or observations?
I felt this is very nice discussion, because one should not feel one is better than the other. Rather continue serving Krishna in a purest way in whatever the activity one is engaged.
Yeah. I know that when I first started working in Krishna's kitchen in New York, so they asked me to make puri dough. So I made puri dough, and then I asked the head cook, I said, how can I improve next time? And he said, well, it was very good, but increase your thought of Krishna while you're doing it. That's important. So, okay, that's a good way to, whatever we're doing, remember we're doing it for Krishna's pleasure, and increase that will help us increase our thoughts, meditation on Lord Krishna, chant Hare Krishna. We didn't chant too much making the dough, because when you chant in the dough, over the dough, you don't want to get your spittle on the dough. But anyway, remember Krishna. Yeah, sideways. Hare Krishna. Okay, next verse. Oh, the point of the members of our Krishna consciousness movement cannot be even called Brahma Bandhu. What kind of background are we from? At least me and the Westerners. We're from a background that's Mlecha Jabana. Mlecha Jabana. Javana doesn't mean a Muslim. Javana means meat eating, right? So we're from backgrounds, mostly us Westerners from that background. Not even call themselves Brahma Bandhu, but if we can make it a sincere effort to spread Lord Chaitanya's teachings and the teachings of Krishna, then we can get the mercy of Lord Krishna, Lord Chaitanya. Thank you. Next 79.
একদিন প্রভু সব ভক্তগণ লইয়া সংকীর্তন করি বৈশে শ্রমযুক্ত হইয়া।
One day, the Lord performed Sankirtan with all his devotees. And when they were greatly fatigued, they sat down.
এক আম্র বীজ প্রভু অঙ্গনে রোপিল, তৎক্ষণে জন্মিল বৃক্ষ বাড়িতে লাগিল।
The Lord then sowed a mango seed in the yard, and immediately the seed fructified into a tree and began to grow.
দেখিতে দেখিতে বৃক্ষ হইল ফলিত, পাকুলি অনেক ফল সবে বিস্মিত।
As people looked on, the tree became fully grown with fruits that fully ripened. Thus, everyone was struck with wonder.
শত দুই ফল প্রভু শীঘ্র পাড়াইল, প্রক্ষালন করে কৃষ্ণে ভোগ লাগাইল।
The Lord immediately picked about 200 fruits, and after washing them, he offered them to Krishna to eat.
রক্ত পীত বর্ণ নাহি ওষ্ঠে বলকল, একজনের পেট ভরে খাইল এক ফল।
The fruits were all red and yellow, with no seed inside and no skin inside. And eating one fruit would immediately fill a man's belly. Purport. In India, a mango is considered best when it is red and yellow. Its seed is very small, its skin is very thin, and it is so palatable that if a person eats one fruit, he will be satisfied. The mango is considered the king of all fruits. There might be some comment on this verse.
Yeah,
I think-
Prabhuji, it's really, really great. The mango, the thing is wonderful is like the verse says, there is no skin outside and inside. This is, I like it. The mango is really my favorite fruit also. Prabhupada mentioned every time, even ripe or green, doesn't matter. Mango is always mango. This is the thing I share you. You know, it's really, really great fruits. Thank you, Prabhupada.
Yes. Yes. Was that somebody's commenting? Yeah, so mango is considered the best, and it's the favorite of. And of course, in the West, when I was growing up, there were no mangoes, not possible, even at least available in the market. At least I came from the Midwest in Indiana, but apparently in in New York City, even at that time, there were mangoes because when Srila Prabhupada started preaching in New York, he had one disciple named Satsvarup. Even before he was initiated, it would be 1966. He would bring mangoes to Srila Prabhupada every day. And Prabhupada appreciated that very much for offering to Lord Krishna. And such so that when Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in his youth or his childhood, he took a mango before it was being offered, before it had been offered. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, his father, said he chastised him. So then, as a result, his whole life he wouldn't take the mango because he considered himself an offender. So this is the best thing, but the best thing is only for Krishna. Yes. So Krishna likes mangoes. Lord Chaitanya also was very pleased with his devotees doing the Sankirtan, that he provided this tree that had immediately grew and provided how many 200 mangoes he picked. That's quite a bit of mangoes. There must have been a lot of devotees there. If each one, each mango satisfied, one mango satisfied each one, there must have been at least 200 devotees. Do you think? Something, yeah, something. So there's a verse like this in Guru Vastakam. Chaturvidhashi Bhagavat Prasado Swadvana Triptan Haribhakti Sangam Kritvaiva Triptan Bhajato Sadaiva Bande Guroshi Charanaravinda. That the spiritual master is pleased when he sees his devotees taking Krishna Prasadam, 4 kinds of Krishna Prasadam. And so here we see Krishna's, the spiritual master is pleased and Krishna is pleased also. The spiritual master being pleased means that Lord Krishna is pleased. So we see that here, that Lord Chaitanya was very pleased to see his devotees satisfied by taking the mangoes that had been offered to Lord Krishna. For regular people, or for the masses of people, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did especially 2 things. He wanted big chanting of the holy names and liberal and sumptuous distribution of prasadam to cleanse people's consciousness and elevate them, to cleanse our consciousness and elevate us. So usually when someone initially joins the Hare Krishna movement, Srila Prabhupada and his followers would encourage them to take nice Krishna prasadam to their full satisfaction. Sometimes they would say till they waddle. Yes. And then also this idea that one fruit would satisfy a person. Srila Prabhupada was in Brooklyn, and there were many devotees had come from different parts of the United States and the world to meet with him for some meeting in Brooklyn. So they were meeting with Srila Prabhupada in the in his quarters, and then the time for prasadam, there were so many other devotees that the prasadam, the regular prasadam, was gone. So there are these big shot devotees, and they didn't have prasadam. So said Prabhupada, I'll make. So he went into his little kitchen and he made some granola kind of preparation. And one devotee there his name was Rupanuga. He was looking over his shoulder. Rupanuga was a big prasadam person, wanted to make sure everybody had plenty of prasadam. So he's looking over and he's seeing the small amount that Srila Prabhupada was making. And he was thinking about himself and others and saying, how will this be enough to satisfy everybody? So he was kind of encouraging Srila Prabhupada to make more. But Srila Prabhupada said, no, this will be fine. So finally, when they all got their small portion of the prasadam offered by Srila Prabhupada in their hand, they took that, and they were all fully satisfied, completely satisfied, just like this one mango, fully satisfied people. So that one handful, even though they were big devotees with big appetites, usually for prasadam, they were fully satisfied. An interesting pastime, similar here. Hare Krishna. Comments, questions, observations?
Yes, Prabhu. This, as you know, this Navadvip Parikrama. I
Yes.
went to the last I think so might be 2000, I forgot, 2005 or 6. Then there is a one place, we are reading the Chaitanya Charitamrita. That's why I'm just want to share. Like there is a called place named Amghata.
Yes, yes, good point.
This they're very, very big and nice place. I see everywhere is mango tree, and the place was so sandy, and all devotees are dancing, and they are laying down. And I remember this. My Guru Maharaj already nicely explored this same the birds, like you read right now, and this one explaining about this the mango, whoever the see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the seeding one mango tree, and immediately comes up everything, and all devotees get this mango and without skin and seeds. This is the thing I remember.
So the mangoes still have no seed there?
No, there is now is seed, but this time the Guru Maharaj already explained. This time there is no seed, no skin. People are eating directly without skin and seed.
Yes. How far is that from our property in Mayapur? I forget.
Yeah, the property line is might be it's not too far. It might be like 50, 100 feet sometime.
Oh, close, very close.
Yeah, but very close.
Yeah, very close. Interesting. So our property, Krishna's, the Mayapur Chandoroy Mandir is there very close to where this incident took place.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. This is not a very close. It's really far away.
Okay, okay,
It's really far away.
okay. Okay, let's see next verse.
Thank you.
You mentioned,
Oh, okay.
I think this is a familiar statement, but important is that, my spiritual master, is pleased, right? Yasha Prasadad Bhagavan.
Yeah.
So, how one will know what is the exact meaning of pleasing in ISKCON?
Well, first thing is we should be serious about understanding the instruction of the spiritual master. He gave many instructions, but what are his specific instructions related to a particular thing? How how in this case how the prasada may be distributed, or how to clean the temple, or how to practice Sankirtan, how to chant the holy name. Try to really understand what the spiritual master has instructed in a particular area or in general, and then trying to apply it, actually sincerely trying to apply it. Those two things will be an introduction to how to please the spiritual master. But first you have to be careful and try to understand what the instruction is, carry it out, and then carry it out in a sincere way, not that because I'm doing this, I'm better than somebody else or anything like that. But this is my only way to advance in Krishna consciousness and somehow be useful in my life. Did you have a different idea? Or in addition to that?
I wanted, being a practitioner and member of ISKCON, how our understanding Guru instruction of Guru, either instruction of Guru is different than instruction of Prabhupada, or instruction of Guru is different than Prabhupada's representatives. can we see the differently? Or this is my guru, I should follow his instruction only? Or can I see Prabhupada's instruction? Or can I see Prabhupada's representative's instruction as the same or different?
Okay, so you're bringing in the, there might be an apparent difference between the instruction you get from your guru and your own personal guru
No.
at this. Yeah,
No, I'm not bringing that. I'm not the difference. The general difference will not be there because we are following the same parampara.
generally, yeah, generally.
So, but I'm saying assuming it's the same, but as a devotee, you generally see my guru is so and so, and I think it's my job to please him.
Yes,
He will teach me how to cook. How will he teach me how to cook, how to clean in day to day in my spiritual progress? When it's referring to pleasing, how will we know? Is it, can we see Prabhupada's instructions also Guru's instruction? Or can we see Prabhupada's representative's instruction as a Guru's instruction? I wanted to know, because many times scriptures direct, pleasing the spiritual master, pleasing the spiritual master. But when it comes to Chaitanya Caritamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explains, one day Guru, he's talking about pleasing the spiritual masters. So what is master and what is masters, and how we see, am I really pleasing my spiritual master or not in this society? Sorry, I brought it many
that's
hours.
all right. That's all right. I mean, as you're well aware, in ISKCON society, Srila Prabhupada is recognized as the Shiksha Guru for everyone in ISKCON. And when you please your direct spiritual master, when and if you do so, Srila Prabhupada will be pleased. No question about that. So, like if we please Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur will be pleased for sure. That goes up the line of disciplic succession. It may sometimes be apparent or seem like there might be a slight difference or difference between instructions between spiritual masters, but actually, if we consider it carefully and thoroughly and understand it, there won't be. If everything is bona fide, there won't be. So, for example, when Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was taking instruction from Gaur-Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. Gaur-Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj told him, don't go to Calcutta. So then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur then opened a center in Calcutta, Bhaktivinoda Ashram, Ultalanga. So how is that? How is that? It seems contradictory, right? But when asked about it, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that, no, my guru knew that wherever the chanting of the holy names are and the kirtan and the is going on, that's not Calcutta, that's Vaikuntha. So it's not, we're not in Calcutta here. At the same time, he was ordered to put everything aside and spread the holy name everywhere. So those two instructions clarified the position. So yeah, if your personal, you cannot jump over your personal guru. If the personal guru says do this, you said no, Prabhupada said do that. That's not going to work. I don't know. You have some more angle on this, Krishna Kirtan Prabhu. You'd like to say?
Yeah, I think I don't know much time, but generally, it is noticed in the ISKCON society that this and there's it's ambiguity in understanding. That's how ISKCON movement is suffers in different way, and with lack of cooperation, because how we practice is his Krishna Kirtan, that's living in Delaware. Okay, my guru is so and so living in few thousand miles, but my guru does not give me full training. It works as is Prabhupada's society. and Prabhupada is structured in such a way that, his representatives also helps me in training me in my spiritual
Yes.
life. So general understanding is my guru is the whatever comes my guru, that's everything for me. And I act differently in his presence, I act differently in his absence, because that's my guru. But general tendencies, we don't see the presence of guru, presence or guru's instruction in the organization itself. And I see the different. Oh, here's my guru's instruction. Here's my Prabhupada's representative's instructions. So I see as a different. So my point was, is that proper way, or in order for me to really grow to understand pleasing spiritual master means pleasing, the everything, is engaged in my upbringing, my spiritual progress, who all are engaged, representatives of Prabhupada's movement, pleasing them. Is it directly pleasing to spiritual master or no? Like, that's my point.
Oh, the
Because-
representative, so say representative, say a temple president here, or say there's a temple commander
because-
there. Yeah, it's
Right.
so the GBC, pleasing the GBC. Okay, yeah. So that's true to a good extent. Ordinarily, it's true to a good extent, but it's not in the same level as directly following the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, or your direct spiritual master, because it's some with other authorities in ISKCON, it's not unusual that there's some they're not right on point all the time. So it's allowed to question or to try to understand better what their purpose or understanding is in order to follow. And even during Srila Prabhupada's presence, it was not unusual that some people, devotees, would have some difference of opinion with the, say, temple president or GBC. And so then Srila Prabhupada would encourage them, okay, then please go. You can start your another temple here or there. Start your other temple. So it's not on the same level. This is my understanding. It's I mentioned before Kapindra, who was naturally ignorant. Yeah. So he was instructing me as a new devotee. That's how I knew. And so he would go, okay, there's this parampara, there's the Srila, there's Krishna, then you go down to, Bhakti Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, Srila Prabhupada, the temple president, the temple commander, me, and you, right? That's how. So I'm your authority, and you better do what I say. Okay, well, not to the level of the Srila Prabhupada or the spiritual master. You follow. So it takes a little bit of intelligence and understanding and a little bit of flexibility in there, with the spiritual master's instructions, to understand them and apply them. First, understand them and really understand where you're coming from, because a lot of times people say, well, Srila Prabhupada said this, but if you look at it, it's not really what Srila Prabhupada says. It's not unusual. In classes you hear that. So really be careful about that. And that principle gets watered down a little bit the further away you go. So be really careful about that. Those who are gurus or representative of the guru should be very careful that they're really representing the actual teachings of Srila Prabhupada and their guru. And if they're sincerely doing so, there will be effects.
Yeah, I agree. There can be wrongs also, but in general principle, I was asking, because
The general principle is, yes, you're right. As we initially follow, yeah. For example, I'll give you a specific example here. Just like in Philadelphia, this is, it's just really tiny little thing, tiny little detail. But usually on Janmashtami and Gaur Purnima, they were having the feast that was offered to Krishna and for the devotees was a grain feast. You know this.
Yeah.
So anyway, I introduced the idea that it's really supposed to be an Ekadashi feast, and I gave, all these examples about, from Srila Prabhupada, of many different sightings and letters and others, that it's really supposed to be an Ekadashi feast. It caused great problem. Great problem. You don't know this. You maybe know this.
Yeah, I remember. Yes.
Yeah, because great.
Mother Sodamani was there that time.
No, this was after. I mean, I was very gentle in that when they were there, but later I said, hey, look, this. So I mean, you can do it whatever you want, but this is what Srila Prabhupada said. This is, you can cite these different places. Okay. So there may be some. We're not going to have a revolt that somebody was doing something different, but let's consider carefully and talk about what did Srila Prabhupada actually want? What did he instruct? Why did he instruct that? Let's talk about it. We'll talk about it. And that if there's some lack of clarity, let's discuss it. Let's discuss it and try to come to a mutual understanding, which we used to call that Ishtagoshti. Ishtagoshti means let's discuss it. Let's talk about what is our understanding of Krishna consciousness and how to spread Krishna consciousness, how to apply the tenets that we find by Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita and Srila Prabhupada's instructions here and there. Anyway.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I understand, you're saying certain things as Ishtagoshti. And these are the slightly different subjects which you mentioned, because I remember an argument was, okay, those days, you used to celebrate Nandotsav also, so you had a feast next day, but you don't do it. Prabhupada's appearance, of course, we do it, but people are not able to come. But my point was...
Many people came. We had probably 150 people there, and yes, we did.
That's nice. So, but in general, principle is for my, there can be always differences, different level of understanding. But as a practitioner, me, in principle, I should understand that what is the meaning of pleasing spiritual master.
Yeah. So that's why I was saying we got to study. I mean, we study carefully what, that's why we're reading all these books. Srila Prabhupada wrote these books for us to understand, and so that they're the principle of understanding of how to please Krishna. It's here in the books, and this is not only this is precept, and there's also example. So that's one of the reasons why for many years, every Thursday we've been reading the Srila Prabhupada's studies, Leela pastimes, because there's the precept and there's example. How did Srila Prabhupada actually apply it? These in different circumstances, so we can understand that. How do we apply it? How should we apply it in our lives? How did Srila Prabhupada do it with this devotee, with that devotee? That's invaluable information that you're not going to find anywhere. How did the Acharya, we say one who teaches by example, how did he apply these teachings that we find in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam practically in real time modern situations? You don't find that information anywhere except in this way. So I think that's really important to know, to understand, to think about in considering how to please Krishna, how to please Srila Prabhupada. What did Srila Prabhupada do in those circumstances? What did he do with such and such devotee in such a circumstance? Anyway, Hare Krishna. Sorry to take so much time. 9:04, it's too late. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyo Dhanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo
Namo
Namo Namaha.
Hare
Thank you very much, Prabhu.